This is what sustainable packaging looks like in 2026. It's not just brown paper, green ink, and a tiny leaf icon slapped on the corner of the box. It's this corrugated shipper that protects products without plastic foam. It's this honeycomb paper wrap replacing bubble wrap without making the unboxing feel cheap. It's this compostable soy sauce fish made to replace one of the most annoying tiny plastic packages on earth. It's this soap bottle where the packaging literally becomes part of the product. But this is also where things get messy, because sustainable packaging isn't automatically better just because it says recyclable, compostable, biodegradable, or plastic-free. If it breaks during shipping, it creates waste. If customers can't dispose of it properly, it creates confusion. And if the material is sourced irresponsibly, the sustainability story already has a crack in it. I'm Jason, founder of Paking, and in this video, I'm going to break down what sustainable packaging actually looks like in 2026, which brands are getting it right, and where the whole industry is still kind of lying to itself. For a long time, sustainable packaging was treated like a nice little bonus. A brand would switch from a glossy white box to kraft paper, add a recycling symbol, write eco-friendly somewhere near the logo, and suddenly everyone was supposed to clap. But in 2026, that's not enough anymore. Customers are more skeptical. Retailers are asking better questions, regulations are getting tighter, and brands are realizing that bad packaging doesn't become good packaging just because it's made out of paper. Because the truth is, sustainability has grown up. It's no longer just about what material you use. It's about where that material came from, how much of it you're using, how far it has to travel, how well it protects the product, and what happens to it after the customer is done with it. That's why certifications like FSC actually matter. And my custom packaging company, Paking, is now FSC certified, by the way. And if you're using paper packaging, you can't just say, well, it's paper, so it's sustainable. Paper still comes from forests. It still has a supply chain. It still has to be sourced responsibly. And this is where a lot of brands get it wrong. They focus on the surface level version of sustainability because it looks good in a product photo. They settle for a brown box, minimal ink, and a little green badge. Cool. But if the box is oversized, the insert is unnecessary, the product breaks in transit, or the customer has no idea how to dispose of it, then you haven't really solved the problem. You've just made the problem look more natural. And don't even get me started on lazy AI packaging. So the real question for sustainable packaging in 2026 isn't, does this look eco-friendly? Does this actually reduce waste, protect the product, and make sense in the real world? The first version of sustainable packaging that actually makes sense in 2026 is packaging that reduces material without sacrificing protection. And Hexpand is a really good example of this. At first glance, it just looks like a corrugated mailer with a clever interior structure. But that's the whole point. It's using the structure of the paper itself to suspend and protect the product inside, instead of relying on plastic foam, bubble wrap, or molded inserts. That matters because one of the biggest lies in sustainable packaging is that less material is always better. Sometimes it is, but if you remove too much material and the product breaks during shipping, you didn't reduce waste. You just created a return, a replacement shipment, a damaged product, and probably an annoyed customer who never buys from you again. So the best sustainable packaging doesn't just ask, how do we use less? It asks, how do we use less while still doing the job? That's also why Geami GreenWrap works so well. It's basically a paper-based alternative to bubble wrap, but it doesn't feel like some sad eco-compromise. When it expands, the paper forms this honeycomb pattern that creates cushioning around the product. It protects fragile items, but it also looks intentional when the customer opens the box. And that part matters more than people think. Because a lot of sustainable packaging fails emotionally. It might technically be better for the environment, but the customer opens it and thinks, this feels cheap. That's dangerous for beauty brands, premium brands, and DTC brands where the unboxing is part of the product experience. If your sustainable packaging makes the product feel worse, the brand pays for that. Geami works because it gives you protection, a cleaner disposal story, and a better unboxing moment without needing plastic bubble wrap. Then you have Holy Carp, which is one of my favorite examples because it goes after a very specific packaging problem. Tiny plastic soy sauce fish are almost impossible to recycle in any meaningful way. They're small, they're often contaminated, and they usually end up as waste. So Holy Carp keeps the same recognizable fish shape, but changes the material to something home compostable. That's smart because it doesn't ask customers to completely relearn the product. The behavior stays familiar. The system underneath gets better. And that's one of the biggest lessons in sustainable packaging. If you want people to adopt something, don't make it feel like homework. Make the better option easy to understand, easy to use, and easy to dispose of. And brands like Soapbottle take the idea even further. Instead of making packaging that gets recycled, composted, or thrown away, it asks a much weirder question. What if the packaging became part of the product? The original idea is simple but kind of brilliant. A bottle made from soap that slowly dissolves so the container itself doesn't become waste in the traditional sense. That's the kind of packaging innovation people love to share because it feels almost futuristic. But this is where we start getting into the hard part, because the more ambitious sustainable packaging gets, the more it has to fight real-world problems: moisture, shelf life, durability, shipping, retail handling, cost, and customer education. A concept can be beautiful on a design board, but the second it enters the supply chain, it has to survive the same brutal test as every other package. Can it protect the product? Can it scale? Can people understand it? Can brands afford it? And can the customer actually dispose of it the way the brand says they can? That's where sustainable packaging stops being a design trend and becomes an operations problem. This is the part of sustainable packaging that most brands don't really want to admit. The biggest problem isn't that brands don't care, it's that a lot of them are trying to solve a systems problem with a simple material swap. They treat plastic like the villain, paper like the hero, compostable packaging like the upgrade, and reusable packaging like the final boss. But the real version is way more complicated. A compostable package only works if the customer actually has access to composting. A recyclable package only works if local recycling systems accept. A reusable package only works if people reuse it enough times to justify the extra material, shipping, and cleaning. And paper packaging only works if it protects the product, uses responsible sourcing, and doesn't require twice as much material to do the same job. This is why greenwashing gets so dangerous. Words like eco-friendly, biodegradable, plastic-free, and recyclable sound clean, but they don't mean much without context. Biodegradable under what conditions? Plastic-free but replaced with what? Less material, but does the product actually survive shipping? In 2026, sustainable packaging can't just look good in a marketing deck. It has to survive the factory, the warehouse, the shipping carrier, the customer's hands, and the waste system after that. That's the real test. Not whether it looks green, not whether it has the right buzzwords, but whether the whole system around it actually works. So if you're building packaging in 2026, the goal isn't to chase the material that sounds the most sustainable. The goal is to build a packaging system that makes the most sense for your product. Start with protection. If the packaging can't survive shipping, it doesn't matter how eco-friendly it looks. A broken product, a return, a replacement shipment, and a frustrated customer create their own kind of waste. Then look at reduction. Can the box be smaller? Can the insert be simpler? Can you remove the extra filler? Can the package ship flatter, lighter, or with fewer components? A lot of the time, the most sustainable move isn't switching to a trendy new material. It's using less of the material you already have or mixing materials. Then look at sourcing. If you're using paper, FSC certification matters because sustainability starts before the box ever reaches the customer. It starts with where the material came from, how it was harvested, and whether the supply chain can actually defend the claim. And finally, look at disposal. Don't just ask if something is recyclable, compostable, or reusable in theory. Ask if your customer can realistically dispose of it the right way in the real world. That's what sustainable packaging looks like in 2026. And it's definitely not solved by slapping a green badge on the corner of a box. It's better design, better sourcing, better logistics, and more honest claims. So if you need help building custom packaging that looks good, protects your product, and makes sense for your brand, click the link below and we'll help you figure out the right direction. And watch this video to see exactly how we make packaging using specific materials.